And we are recording. Okay. So, just for the sake of the video, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and how you know David?
So my name is Zachary McQuaid. I'm from the YouTube channel The Life of a Borderline, and I did some work with some people involved with Alex Jones before, and I was being paid by one of Alex's cameramen, and I really started to realize that whole crowd was infiltrated with people a part of the Mossad, and I found out about David Crowley, and that was before COVID hit, the Great Reset. And I just seen that it all came true, and I seen that there was something like really weird about this in a way, like an inside way. Like there's no way that he could have done that. And I just realized that kind of crowd and what they do to people. And I see how, they messed with him too and everything mentally, but it was infiltration, and that was what was happening to me. And my case with Isaac Cappy, Hollywood whistleblower. And I just couldn't let it go. It's just like horrible. And when I seen the crime scene photo of his daughter and him, that's what made me not able to let it go.
Yeah, and you were saying that you were working for Alex Jones' crew and stuff, working for cameras, using the cameras and stuff. Is that
Jim Camera, I was just doing video work for them.
Yeah.
They were having me put out misinformation about a celebrity whistleblower, and I didn't know that I was putting out misinformation at the time because
Yeah,
they had befriended me. Yeah.
So did you find it interesting? Because, I mean, I know I'm a nobody and I get it. And, Alex Jones, but, I was not aware. I'll be completely honest. When I first heard of this case, I was completely unaware of any like LARP situations going on. I didn't know that people were pretending, and I honestly just thought people were being genuine, and I thought Alex Jones was being genuine. And so I wrote him and I'm like, "Hey, you interviewed David several times, and so we're finding issues with this case. He didn't kill his family. Can you, help?" Or the guy never said anything. I mean, he's just, I don't like him. He's the biggest a-hole I've ever seen. I mean, he switched so quick.
And he's for Israel completely. I couldn't believe it too that he wouldn't stand up for David and his family after that happened to them. Like, and he has a big platform. He doesn't say anything about it. But he basically he supports the elite. Like I believe that Trump and all of them, Clintons and all of them, they're all the same crowd. And they're just playing a game with us. And he's part of the crowd that's going along with it and pretending not to at the same time.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. It's like when people are trying to choose a side, it's a different wing of the same bird. They're both flapping to support the bird. It has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, don't fly with them in any way.
Yeah. And before we started the recording, I liked what you were saying about how you knew by what was written on the wall there was no way David could have done that. Do you want to expand a little bit further on that thought?
Yeah, because Kamel and him had turned away from Islam and their family and all that. They didn't want that kind of controlling lifestyle. And so they were more into spirituality, like fifth dimension stuff and all that, which I know all about, and consciousness. And there's no way anyone into all that would do anything like that. No, there's no way. And there's just so much more than what I just said that just makes it impossible.
Yeah, and I found it interesting that the Apple Valley Police Department, they tried really hard to make it like David and Kamel were at odds, that he didn't really love her because, like you had pointed out, it's like they were saying that it was a dig that David did toward Kamel and her religion by writing that on the wall. And I'm just like going, everything I have read from that man, every video I've watched, it is nothing but love for his wife.
Yep. And that on the wall is exactly what he's against. And the person that is Islam still was his brother, right?
I've heard so many different things about his brother. I have no idea what's up and what's down. I mean, I've heard, and
And
I mean, I don't care. It doesn't bother me one iota, one way or the other. But I've heard he was homosexual, but then he turned around and he married a woman, but then that didn't last very long. And I
yeah,
mean, there's just everybody's all over the place. But all I know is that he just gives me the EBGBs.
yeah, and that Danny Mason guy too.
Oh yeah.
Like, and that documentary, that Hulu documentary, starts out with him, and I'm like, that's the guy's name on the porch with the presents, and it seems like they use that as an excuse. Like, I think they altered the timeline, and they were there before they said they were there, and then they just put the presents out front. And their excuse was to come over with the presents, maybe, and show David and have them come inside.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's really no solid proof as to when the gifts were placed there because Dan Jr. says that he put them there anywhere from the 26th, I think, to the 30th. I mean, he never is consistent with the date he supposedly put them on the porch.
Wow.
But the neighbors and everything all say that they didn't see anything until January 10th, January 7th. So if you've got all these super nosy neighbors and everybody's watching his house, but the vast majority are saying, no, we didn't notice that until sometime in January. I mean, that's a huge red flag.
Do you think, because they would have been nosy when that was happening too, I imagine there would have been screaming. Do you think someone blared music so that no one could hear and it seemed like it was a party or something?
My personal opinion, and just from everything I've, read and researched on this case, is that David and Rania were not killed in that house. They were killed somewhere else. If that's Camille, and I will right now, I don't think that's Camille on the floor.
Oh, wow.
The tattoos don't match up. It's missing sections because we have a picture of Camille in a bathing suit. She's lying down and it's like summertime or whatever, and you can see her tattoo on the side, right? Mm-hmm. And then the body in the morgue where the medical examiner took photos, that tattoo does not match the one we know is on actual Camille. And so I'm like, but the David, it does look like him. I mean, the body shape, the whatever's left of the jaw really resembles his face. So I don't know. I have no idea, but I am 100% convinced it's not Camille on the floor. 100%. But the problem is the blood that was collected, because David's blood is missing. Rania's blood is missing, from the crime scene. And so they couldn't have been killed there. You've got 4 headshots to 3 bodies, and there's no high velocity blood spatter anywhere, nowhere to be found.
There's just a little bit in the kitchen, like around the wall area.
The island, it's like there's a couple of drops on the island, but then there's passive blood, one drop on the kitchen floor and then one on the dishwasher that was opened. And usually passive blood comes from the perpetrator because somehow they usually get injured during crime. So that's why when a lot of times they see passive blood, they'll take samples for sure of that and they're going to test it because they need to find out, because the majority, not always, but a lot of the time you have that passive blood is a result of the perpetrator who had been injured and now they're trying to get to a place to get cleaned up. But
What about the splatter when you come in the door this way and it's just like right here on the wall and then the
On the
whole
wall?
room?
Yeah, that's Kamel's, the quote unquote Kamel, the female body supposedly on the floor. Everything you see in the living room, the blood spatter and the bloody footprints, which I will argue till the day I die, those are not footprints.
Hmm.
They look like kindergarten artwork. I'm not kidding you. It looks like they created them on the floor. It just totally, the whole thing looks completely staged. But that, all of that you see is from the quote unquote Kamel.
Right.
Um,
Even
David's.
the staging of, sorry, the
Mhm.
staging of everything on the kitchen counter, all neatly, out there for you to see.
Exactly, exactly. And David's cell phone was up there on the
Right.
counter, right? And
Mhm.
there was blood all over it. And
Except
so
for
they
the headphones.
swabbed, yeah, they swabbed the cell phone, which, right, they should. And then they tested that. It came back as one DNA. And David's DNA was not even on his own cell phone.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, and we all know how we handle our phones, right? We're
Mhm.
constantly touching. We're leaving our DNA everywhere on our cell phones, but
Yeah.
his doesn't have it on it.
So yeah, okay. So they wiped it so theirs would be off it.
Mhm. Yep, and then when they're, then they add her
Yeah.
blood onto it, as they're setting
Just like
this.
they did with the wall by making the scene like that.
Mhm.
And the knife by David too. You really like what the heck? And his
Yeah,
pant leg cut open.
yeah. I mean, and the blade was pointing down. It was right by his leg, and it was pointing the completely open and locked in place, pointing down.
Right.
And I'm just like, and it has no DNA. I mean, there were three small specks of blood on it, one on the handle, one on the end of the blade, and then one like where I think the screw was or whatever, and they found some in there. But the rest of the entire knife is completely clean. And that one had all three of their DNA on it. Now, the only places where David's blood and or DNA were found was on that knife and then on the magazine of the gun, which was inside. The magazine was inside the weapon.
So not even the trigger part or the handle.
Mm-mm.
So it was white too.
Yeah, I mean,
That-
the whole thing's ridiculous.
It is, especially because I mean, there's no reason for David to have the knife out and then cut himself on his pants like this.
Right?
Yeah, like if it's not a cover up, then the police are actually dumb.
Yeah, and the whole thing, I mean, it screams of a cover up. And
Yeah, has to.
when and in the autopsy reports, I'm not sure if you saw the video I did on that, where the autopsy reports, when you're reading through them and you're looking at the state of decomposition, and Kamel and Rania,
Mhm.
theirs are at just autolysis, right? And so we get to David's, and David's autopsy states marked autolysis. Now that means it's more advanced, it's more noticeable. And in order to have a more noticeable and more advanced state of decomposition with bodies that are all in the same area, they were all
Mhm.
found together, together, is to have that person be dead longer,
Yeah.
because more of his cells had started to decompose. It's autolysis is just the beginning of decomposition, where the cells begin to, I guess, eat themselves and break down, you know. And
Okay.
so they go in and they look in at the cellular level under a microscope to look at the nucleus of the cells. And once they really start breaking down, they almost look like little puddles of water kind of thing.
Hmm.
So up to 75% of the cells on the slides that were taken of David were at that stage. And
Right.
Kamel and Rania were somewhere around 25%.
So that it feels like it's more personal than to for this crime to Kamel. like someone like on her side of the family, because if they killed her husband first, they wanted her to see that and suffer over that.
Yeah, and most of the blood, like I said, it's like most of the, well, blood and DNA, which is,
And they're
different.
Muslim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like most of what they found had a lot of times a mixture of two or three or two or more. I think it said two or more individuals, and it would rule out two of the other three. Like if it ruled Kamel in, the majority of them ruled out David and Rania, but it's still a mixture of DNA of two or more individuals. And then it rules out the general public.
Hmm.
So that only leaves a family, a close family member.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been saying all along. I don't understand why Kamel's family hasn't, come forward a little bit more, because right now, the way these reports are written,
Hmm.
it's steering the guilt toward them.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I think I meant to say in the beginning, not David's family, Kamel's family, because it all links back to them, even the Muslim stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no. But if they weren't killed in the house, where would they have?
We have no idea, no clue at all. And and then in the reports, it states that the snow around the house and on the back deck
Mhm.
was packed down and walked on by a lot of
Yeah,
people.
I seen it too.
So who knows? They're just, all we know for a fact is that David's blood is not in that house, other than on the inside, on the magazine, on a gun. And everybody who's ever shot a gun will know that you can't get your blood that supposedly doesn't exist because you're not injured with prints, fingerprints on a magazine inside a gun when you shoot yourself.
Mhm,
It
mhm.
doesn't work that way.
What about the blood from his head? Like it looked like someone did, like I think you said before, like took some kind of an axe or something. Like there's specific cuts.
Oh yeah, you see straight lines.
The dog doesn't do that.
Exactly. Of the scalp piece, there's a piece of like skull with some of the scalp still attached,
Mhm.
and you see straight lines,
Yeah,
and that can only happen with something with a straight edge. You don't get that from a dog pulling it off. You don't get that from a gunshot. None of that. This was somebody who went in and cut that off. Now
yeah.
that is disturbing. And then you see also on that piece of skull where there is blunt force trauma. You see bruising around the skull. You see, and then you can see imprints of whatever they used. At the time, the best thing I could match it up to would be like a socket wrench type thing, maybe,
Sure.
I don't know, but that's pattern. You know how in a socket wrench, the pattern that it makes.
Right. Or like a
And
buzz saw kind of thing. Like, I don't
yeah,
know.
so I'm just like, what the heck? There's just clearly, it's so clearly staged.
Mhm. I, I happen to like, I'm not convinced yet that they didn't die like in the house. Like, because I kept looking at the kitchen and everything and being like, maybe they were making breakfast. He was rolling weed. He was about to smoke weed, put it in a bong.
Their system was completely clean of drugs.
Do you think he was about to do that and then
No,
someone?
I think that's all planted as well.
Oh,
Um, Yeah, and because at first that was like, all right, let's wait until toxicology comes back, and then because who gives a crap, especially these days, you know. And David admits that he was smoking quite a bit until I think it was like September. I think when he started writing in his day one journal in September, he's like, okay, I smoked a lot of this stuff over the summer, but I'm going to quit this now because it's not helping me, and I've got to get back to work.
I think I
And
heard from one of Greg's videos that the day or some days before he went to someone to get some weed.
that is what Chris Peck told the police
Mm.
and supposedly showed the police a text exchange,
Mhm.
but there is nothing to back it up on David's phones. There is no text message sent at that date or time and no phone call made at that date or time. So
Mm.
we have no proof that and then to top it off, his toxicology reports were completely clean. So if he had been getting high the whole time, it would have shown up on
Mhm.
his
Mhm.
toxicology. The only thing that showed up on any of theirs was the female body on the floor. That one had something like an ibuprofen type of medication, and that was it. I mean,
To
they
me,
had
it looked like someone had just picked up, like they still had the baggie of it, like not broken up, and then they had some broken up. It looked like they had just bought it and were about to do something, but then again, the bed is like really messy and there's pillows everywhere. So
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it completely looks staged. Yeah,
mhm.
it was on the dresser. There
That's
was a
what they're
little bit
telling
in a
me.
bowl, and then there was a pair of tweezers on the dresser, and then the baggie. But the
Yeah,
bong was in the bathroom,
right.
completely clean.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I
No
mean,
paper
the whole
towels.
house was a complete disarray. But when you look at previous videos and they show inside their house,
Hmm.
she was a good housekeeper. Never once did I see it to that degree. I mean, you have kids and there's going
Hmm.
to be stuff sometimes, but I mean, it never looked like that. But and you look at these crime scene photos, because my first thought was, geez, does she never clean house, right? And so then,
Or someone was taking out of their beds or something.
yeah, it looked like somebody had been staying there.
It looked like someone like was ripped. Like it looked like they everyone in the family just kind of like took off the covers, like ripped them off, and like
Mhm.
got up out of bed and or something.
Yeah. I mean,
But that could
uh,
be staged. I don't
yeah,
know.
and we could all come up with probably a plausible theory on what was happening at the time, but I agree with you. I think it looks like the way the kitchen is set up, if
Hmm.
that's not staged, it really looks like a life interrupted. Like they
Right.
were right in the middle of doing something when whoever came in, that was the beginning of the end at that point, and it just stopped whatever they were doing.
Absolutely. That's what I see.
And it was already after Christmas because a little Ranya's presents were already open,
Oh,
There was that toy tea thing sitting on the table. The
mhm.
and of course no presents under the tree.
Right.
And he was not hurting for money, because we found that in his day one journal as well. He was doing quite well. And then his father, of course, as we know, has sent him a $14,000 check that was waiting inside or waiting with the gifts or in
Right.
the bag, I think on the porch. And so, I mean, they weren't hurting for money, and he wasn't strictly leaning on Kamel's income, you know, which
No.
is what a lot of them are trying to say as well.
No. Yeah. So I think it would be the family because denouncing the Muslim faith, like I was at a shelter once and there was this girl that had a Muslim family and she came here to Canada and they were sending her death threats, like photos of coffins and everything because she renounced their religion.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. It really, really does, because all of the research I did on that particular religion and those people who defect, so to speak, like Kamel, not only did she marry a quote unquote infidel, but then she turned her back on her religion.
Right, right,
And her father, I mean, and to this day, her sister, they're all very devout Muslims. And her sister's husband converted to being a Muslim before they got married. And so then you have Kamel, who not only turns her back, but there's no way David would convert to Muslim.
right. No, she's more into like, I got this lucid dreamer.
Yeah. Powered by
More,
coffee.
she's
Yeah.
more into like spirituality like that, not the Muslim stuff.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, even her webpage, you're correct. Her webpage and everything that she was doing and trying to get people healthy, and it was all more about, like you were saying, the spiritual side of things.
Right. And anyone doing that is not going to, their consciousness is not that low to do something like that at all. It's nowhere near that.
Right. Right.
So that is a life interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
But they could have, if you think they weren't in the house when it happened, I don't know, they could have even been moved to the basement if there's a basement so that no one would hear.
Well, and that's the problem. I mean, when you're shot in the head, it's going to leave blood and brain matter and bone. There'll be stuff everywhere, but there's nothing.
What about from David's head? Like there's no blood around the skull? Oh, I mean, no impact blood. Yeah.
No, there's not even under where the bodies were found. There is no blood on that floor. There's
Right.
decompositional fluid. You'll see little stains where the bodies were found, but that's decomp fluid. That's not blood. There's no puddles of blood anywhere. And his blood is missing, completely missing.
I remember just seeing a bit of blood near the bottom of a chair.
Yes, and we've all wondered why. Yeah, there's actually a good size stain on the footrest of the chair. And in the reports, it says that it was, in the down position, because when he's laying on the floor out like this and his right hand is missing, it's not that far from the couch, but chair, but it's still far enough away that it wasn't touching. So whose blood was on that? Because, of course, material can soak it up and make it look like a lot when it's not a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But still, they never tested it. We have no idea whose blood that is.
Wow. And his finger even looks like it's put in a position, like a certain position, like on purpose.
Yes, because before my other laptop crashed, I used to do photography, so I have like Lightroom and I had Corel Paint Shop Pro. So when I saw the one, and it was from a distance when he's laying down like this, and his hand is cupped like this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the close-up photo of it, it's this. And I'm like, and I've done a video on this, and I'm like, wait a second, who manipulated those fingers?
Yeah.
Because they are not doing this back here. You clearly see all four fingers up in the air. And then the next one, it's completely like this. And I'm like, you bastards. Because that's the police doing that shit. Oh, excuse my French. Sorry.
That's an inside job, and it all comes back to extremists that all worship Allah, whether they're Muslim or Jewish or whatever. That's where I think that it all stems from. Because it's not from David and Kamal.
No. And I mean, there are elements, and here's the problem with the staging. There are elements of the Muslim and the Sharia law, or Sharia, however they say that word.
Yep.
Yeah, that. And then there are elements of Freemasonry. There's elements of just craziness. And so it's
Freemasonry like, comes with the police too. And so
yes, the entire force is a Freemason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everywhere. And then Danny Mason also, like within a couple of months after the deaths, he joined the Freemasons as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah. See, even if he was friends with David and didn't do anything, David would denounce him right away as a friend for that. So that speaks a lot just in itself.
Yep. And like I said, in his day one journal, he talks a lot about how he was distancing himself from all of them, from Hendricks, from Mason, from Wright, all of them, even his own brother and his family. He's
they seem to be the people that want to go, like they're extremists already, but they want to go extreme in a dark way, like even deeper.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't want that for his movie. Yeah. And so he actually went in and completely rewrote the whole entire script, almost exactly, and wrote out Danny's character completely. And how Danny, I don't know if you know this, but Danny Mason kept trying to get copyright for a gray state.
Yep, I
And like
remember all this now. Yeah.
yeah, he was petitioning to get copyright. But when you look up David on that script, it's his name alone. You know, he owns copyright on that whole thing. There, it's a done deal because when you file for copyright, you have to prove that you are the only owner, right? And so it was strictly his work, and I'm just like, what a bunch of losers they were. And then of course you had Sean Wright going, oh, take me with you and I'll go with you to LA and just pay me 50,000 a year and I'll do this and that for you. And David's like, I don't think so, dude.
Right. You don't need that much either to do that.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
So,
and go ahead.
oh yeah, it came right after he said, like, I'm changing the script and I'm taking your name out. Then all the problems started, and then that happened.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And it's
It's,
almost like they planned it. So whoever did this planned it way in advance.
is David, as Mason, that guy, Danny Mason, he's connected with Cabell's family?
I can't find any connections still. There were some photos of, I think maybe there was it her dad or maybe it was David's dad? Okay, so I better not speak because I can't remember
Okay.
after he died, but there are photos of them together. So I'm not sure if, but as far as I know today, her sister, Sidra, was still in touch with the guys and she was doing a lot of stuff with them and backing them up for a lot of it. And I'm just like, what are you doing? You know? These guys are crooks and criminals
Well,
and
they're Freemasons, so yeah, they would work with them, like, they're into like corrupt stuff and doing really horrible stuff and being secretive about it. And I guarantee you they're probably going to watch this too.
oh yeah, they do. And then the funny thing is, speaking of Danny Mason,
Mm,
you know, he's been arrested twice. It's either 2 or 3 times, but I know twice for sure for domestic violence.
mhm,
He has a
mhm.
criminal history now. He has a criminal record, felony records of being arrested for domestic violence.
Yeah, that's
And same with Sean Wright.
right.
He also has a history of that. So, you know, I'm like, and then you have and you have the innuendo about Dan Jr. And I'm not going to say what it was because there's no proof of it, but with that really bad innuendo, and then you look at all of this other stuff and you're like, "Oh my gosh, you guys, you police officers have solid proof of all of these men who do these things." And
Mhm.
yet you want to blame the one man who has the clean record and loved his family.
Yeah, no, I looked a lot into Freemasonry and no, even Israelis and Muslims, they all worship the same original God of the Bible. And it all links back even to the trafficking stuff and Epstein. It's really deep.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and there's
it-
something too. I don't know if you how much of the documentation you've read,
a lot.
but
Yeah.
there's the blacklight report, right, which shows all of the computer activity,
Mhm.
and that's another thing that I brought to the police chief's, you know, attention as soon as I saw it, because on the page, the front page of the document, it states that the C drive of that laptop was accessed on January 14th. And so I wrote him, I'm like, he
Mhm.
was dead.
Mhm.
How is he accessing his computer, his hard drive, you know, if he's dead? That means somebody else had access to that computer, which means this database now has his hard drive has been compromised. Everything you're looking at that's on here has been compromised because you see in his day one journal where somebody had gone in and started deleting a lot of what he had written because you'd find things with words like cut off in the middle or you know with the first letter of a word left there everything else is gone
Mhm.
and I'm just like
Mhm.
it's clear that somebody went in and messed with the system. And you have proof. It says right there in your document, it was accessed January 14th, and they're already on the floor. So who did it?
Right, and everything laid out, like all the papers and everything. That looks like someone with a film, that really
Mhm.
cared about it. Danny,
Yep.
let me see.
There's so many things wrong with this case. And I mean, everything that we point out and everything that you see only proves his innocence. Nothing points to his guilt at all. And yet, you know,
Mhm.
his
Was it-
family, yeah, I don't know if you've watched the videos with I think her name is Kristen. She's the one who's married to not married. She's the sister of David's uncle's wife. So she's a family member,
Oh yeah, I
an
did.
extended family member, and she will tell you that, and she has said, it's on the videos, that the family doesn't want this case reopened. They want it left all alone, and they're perfectly happy because they like how the outcome came. And I'm like, what?
What the fuck? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you like
It's
that fucking outcome? Like,
uh-huh. And they get mad when we bring out things that show what's wrong with the case as it stands.
mhm.
And all they want is this case just to go away. They don't want to be bothered, and there's no way they're ever going to reopen it. And we as the general public can't. Unless you get a high profile attorney that has a lot of sway somewhere, or the family gets in there,
Mhm.
all we can do is just keep bringing it out to the public and saying, hey, there's
Yeah,
a lot of injustice in this case, and this guy's not guilty.
and what would help is just by telling everybody, like, the Great Reset, COVID-19. This guy was making a film about it before it happened, warning you about it. He was on Alex Jones. He was on many platforms, and that will get people really looking at it. Already is. I mean,
Yeah.
what he said happened is a technocracy, and they started doing all that. They're still doing it.
Yeah, and things in his trailer, it was just like I remember thinking that when I would go to the store to go get food, right? And the
Mhm.
shelves would be empty. I just kept visualizing David's trailer because that's what happened in his trailer.
In the
Everything
standing
was
of the
sold out.
farm.
Yeah, and you couldn't get any food. There was nothing because
Yeah,
people were panicking and freaking. And I'm just like, God, this guy, if he only knew.
yeah. It's
I
called
mean,
the technocracy, the occult of the elites and Freemasons, and they're into more occultic stuff too. But the Great Reset, Build Back Better, and AI taking over. If people knew that's what it was all about back in 2019, they wouldn't have been saying, "Oh, this is the Great Reset," like it's nothing.
mm-hmm. Yep.
It's frustrating. I don't like to focus on it. I just radically accepted it.
Yeah, there was again with the COVID crap. Oh my gosh, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And same thing, because I think even was it, I don't know, I don't remember all of David's video, and I don't remember if people were wearing masks, and I know they were all being forced to get something on their arms, either marks or shots or whatever.
Yeah.
And and then you've got all these people during the
Motherfuckers.
COVID time. Yeah.
Mhm.
All the pressure, you need to go. If you don't go, you're going to lose your job. If you don't go, you're going to go to prison. If you don't go, we're going to take your money. And it's like,
Mhm.
what is this?
A free chocolate bar and $100.
Yeah. And now what they're doing, I don't know if you've heard about this or not where you are, but with the COVID vaccines,
Mhm.
they're putting a black mark, a black label on the box. And what that means is they're finally now the black, I think it's called the black label, but that is just listing that it's dangerous. It can kill you, it can do, and it's got all these things. And and I'm just like, those of us who fought it and put up with so much crap from you people,
Mhm.
this is why, because this stuff is deadly.
You're right. I've had family members that have died from it too. They would still be here. Even a lot of
Mhm.
people in my building, and from their apartments, they would still be living in them if they didn't take it.
Yeah, and I mean, I by that point when that happened, I mean, because when I was still working in an ER, I didn't have a choice. You have to get the vaccines just for
Mm,
whatever's out. I mean, it's just mandatory. But I remember my son-in-law, his manager at his job,
mhm.
he kept telling he's like, "I'm not getting that," told his wife, "Please don't do it." But he wasn't gonna force her not to. He just said, "Please just don't do that." She went ahead and she got it, and then he didn't, and she was dead 4 days later.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's so
massive
many
blood
stories like
clots.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I even have people just like that. It's ridiculous, and you know it's because of that, but if you
Yeah.
say so, you're just laughed at.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were taking down videos left and right all the time, and I'm
Yeah,
sitting there going, "This is coming from doctors and from people, with medical experience. Hello, we're telling you this stuff, but nope, they'd shut us down, take our stuff away, and I'm just like so I would just try to keep telling people, "Hey." And even now, people are wearing masks. They're going back to wearing masks. You know,
wow.
before, like, right after all this stuff finally stopped, it's almost like Walmart couldn't get rid of the masks, right? They were almost like handing them out for free. Now they're going I went there a couple weeks ago, and they were selling masks again for, like, $6 a box, and I'm like, "Here we go."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's, I was gonna say something about that, I forgot. Um, I'm having a brain fart, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We do that all the time. I mean, please feel free to interrupt me because I will yak and yeah.
Right.
So
Alright. Uh, hmm,
so
yeah,
you were talking before about the Great Reset. You wanna talk a little bit more about that?
yeah, so basically not really, I don't want to, but
Okay, we don't have to.
um, what was I gonna say? Something about the Freemasons and everything, and, mm, I don't know.
It's amazing to me. I again, like I said, I was so uneducated about all of these topics before I found the David Crowley case. And then when I watched, oh gosh, he's gonna be so mad at me. I can't remember his name. I think his last name is Child. His first name starts with an A. Oh God, please don't be mad at me. He's
Uh,
such a nice guy. He's the one who won the for I think it was Australia, like America's um Got Talent type thing, but
mhm,
the Australian version.
mm,
Uh, Great voice. But
okay,
anyway, he did that. He did like this 5-hour YouTube video where he went through all of the things because his eyes were open to Freemasonry. And so
right.
he just
Well,
started
I reviewed that. I have that on my channel, I think. I
yeah.
re-uploaded that. Yeah,
Yeah, it was so and I watched that and I'm just like, "Whoa." So what I did is then I'm like, "Okay," because I don't just take things at face value. So I went in and then I started getting books from the library. Or if you can, well, you have to be real careful what you take as gospel from the internet because it's so easy to go in and manipulate that data. It may be like a legitimate journal, but somebody can go in and rewrite things. So I try to find the actual books.
mm,
And so I started looking into all this stuff and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, he's telling the truth."
yep, yep, he is. They're all over. They have Masonic temples everywhere.
Yeah, and then I started paying attention in no matter where you go, no matter what movie you watch. Like my favorite rerun to watch on TV is Frasier. I mean, I just love the old Frasier from back in the 90s.
It is
And
honestly, yeah.
I'm looking at these sets and it's all Freemasonry.
Oh
There's
wow.
one show that it totally caught my attention, and I love Frasier. He had bought a piece of artwork and it was, a forgery and stuff. So he goes back to try to get his money back. And the setting of the art gallery is there are two pillars, and on the back wall it's a black and white checkerboard. And
Uh-huh.
then they have like a sun. And I mean, it was like all of this stuff, and I'm like, that's Freemasonry. That's all Freemasonry. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's in a Frasier show. What the heck?
Yeah. And it all with Satanism is what it is. So you just remember that every time. So basically, Danny Mason is an open Satanist.
And so is Hendrix. I mean, what's his last name? Mason Hendrix.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'll admit it. He's like he's a pagan through and through,
Hmm.
and brags about it. And I think it was okay, one of those three guys. It's either Danny Mason or Sean, and I'd have to go back through my notes. So right now I can't remember which one of them,
Hmm.
but one of them were best friends with a they were also Freemason, but it was a temple priest for Lucifer. And they had their website, their Facebook page and everything, and they're open about it. And here, this guy was like best friends with this other one, and I think it's Travis something. I should have looked that up before, but I didn't think our discussion was going to go that route. But I did a video on that one as well. But then you have these are the people that were trying to infiltrate David's life, and David's trying to push him away because he's like, I don't want that in my life.
Right. And it seems like they just joined the side that they were all against, apparently.
That, you know what? That's that's a good way to put it.
That's what they did. So, looking at this, as the police should probably have, but are just covering up, now that you mentioned about the photo and then changing his hand, what are,
I mean, there's only one reason for that. You know what I mean? Because only someone who does Freemasonry and trying to set up a victim to be the perpetrator of a crime would do something like that.
yeah. I can't believe, though, that these things can happen and just
And it's
people,
happening all the time. Like, I think you had mentioned previously before we started doing this, like the David Cappy case. That's his name, David Cappy.
oh,
What's his
Isaac
name?
Happy.
Isaac Cappy. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got David on the brain. Isaac Cappy. I was because I had no idea who he was, but I'd really just started watching some of his YouTube videos just before he had died, before he was killed. I think he was murdered,
Yeah,
but
he was.
and then I saw the police video of when he supposedly jumped from this overpass, and
Mhm.
I'm looking at that going, there's no way in hell. There's just no way that man jumped from that overpass. He was pushed. He was shoved over because there were other interviews where people saw two men fighting, and then all of a sudden that second man disappears, right? Nobody else happens to have seen that second man. And then, those articles slowly start disappearing and you can't even find it. And I'm like, I wish I was, keeping track of this stuff back then, because I'm like, that poor man, he was trying to warn the world. And
Yeah, he died right.
unfortunately, go
Oh,
ahead.
he died right near the military base that another whistleblower, Tracy Flyman, was telling him about, where there's trafficking and other torture stuff kind of going on. And if you look at that police video they send, you can see that if you pause it, it's totally like an inserted image in the video because his like back is like cut off. It's not even real.
I didn't even pay attention to that. Wow,
Yeah,
I'll have to go back and rewatch that.
yeah, it's totally a fake photo in the video. So I can even do that actually with my filmmaker, and it's really freaky once you realize that. And Tracy Twyman died months later, and she was really close with Isaac, and she was telling him about that base, which is right around the area he died. But Isaac was getting threats, and he chose to go to his mother's place on Mother's Day, and they literally killed him on Mother's Day. He wasn't able to get away.
Oh,
They pretty much shot out his tire, and he had to stay at the hotel nearby the bridge. And then he was going to leave in the morning, and that's when something broke out.
God. That is just insane.
Mother's Day, yeah, to be exact. He would not kill himself on Mother's Day.
Mm-mm. Well, he didn't even appear suicidal at
He
all.
wasn't suicidal either, no.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think he said the same thing David said. David's like, I want everybody to know I am not suicidal. And I think I heard Isaac Cappy say that in one of his videos. I am not suicidal.
Yeah, that last video he did, which is like an hour or two long, and there's people in his apartment, and he's told to just act like it's him, and he's saying all these things willingly, but he's not. So he whistleblowed against Seth Green and his wife in Hollywood, Claire Grant, being involved in sex trafficking, child sex trafficking. And I'll just say, and I know they're going to watch too, but it's people connected with Seth Green, friends of his, that infiltrated Isaac's life and got really close to him and started messing with him online and in person and surveilling him and scaring him on purpose and ultimately killing him and covering it up and having people like me put out misinformation about the case, not realizing I'm being misled by people that want to cover up what actually happened with their own narrative.
God, that's scary when you think about it, that they have so many people that they can just plant in all these different places to do all these different jobs. And I'm just like, good
Mm,
grief.
It's scary, and some of them are the most grossest people online, like catfish, like how you see the most disgusting people on there. It's like that, like, but they have connections and everything, and it's really bad. The person that was using me is Thomas Schellenberger to put out that misinformation.
And how did you find out that they were feeding you the wrong stuff because they knew you would put it out? How did you figure it out?
Because Thomas would post videos saying, I did this and I did that. And I'm like, no, I didn't. You were calling me up and saying, hey, this is the truth. This is the truth. And then really have to think back. It was really traumatic when I realized that. I've blocked it all out for so long. I've recently gone through something else a lot worse. I'll just say it briefly. I got so mad after I realized that I was set up to put out all that misinformation, sorry. And I tried reaching out to celebrities with a platform and tried to get on there and reveal what happened, what I went through, and what they were doing to me and to Isaac by doing all that to me, having me do that. And it gets really deep. But Thomas Schellenberger is an individual. Robert David Steele, part of Trump's team, was asked about him, and he got up off the camera, and just walked away. Like, It's that serious.
Wow.
He threatened my mental health workers and housing workers at the time, sorry. And these are people with InfoWars
Good
connections
grief.
and the Mossad as well. And they threatened my workers, and they came back and said something to me or Thomas, just like they did to Isaac. And I got really mad. And so I guess I'll just say it all. My first time ever really speaking about it. The workers came in my apartment in 2020 after being threatened by Thomas and another individual who I can't say because of court stuff. But they came back and they said this to me, and I remember it word for word. We just want to let you know that we support you in your decision in committing suicide because you speak about it too much and because we understand the seriousness of your situation. We also want you to know that it's nothing personal. People need to make money. Our boss Pio wanted us to tell you that. Those
Wow.
are my mental
That's
health.
not even a veiled threat.
Yeah, and then I got really mad, and I believed my other worker at the time because she was telling me they were receiving threats from Thomas, and so stopped doing videos for him. But I didn't believe her at the time. I'm like, I don't believe you. You're just against him. You're part of the Illuminati now. And I learned the hard way. And I reached out to one of my favorite celebrities from when I was like 14 years old in 2007. And I told her about it and everything. And her only advice was to masturbate first and then decide if you still want to kill yourself. And I took offense to that. And I freaked out and I threatened the person. And she had me charged and sent to jail for 7 months. And that was the comedian Sarah Silverman.
Oh.
And that was hell. And that just happened recently. And well, about 2 years ago now, I finished my probation last week, so I can speak about it. And I went through hell there. They put me in a cell with a long-term offender, dangerous offender, Indian guy with a fucking lazy eye. And
Oh.
that didn't turn out well for me, especially because he was in there because he molested his own son. And Thomas Robenshaw is his name. And I came out more mad, and but then I started working with more people. I started getting on these cases again. And currently I'm working with Joe Burns, who is the eyewitness and friend of Kurt Cobain's from Nirvana, that was there at the house the night that Kurt was murdered. And I'm working on a podcast with him now, so I'm trying to just focus on those things and not my own personal problems too much.
Well, sometimes being busy and occupied can help, can help you compartmentalize and to slowly deal with stuff that you're dealing with, instead of trying to take care of it all at once. But yeah, Kurt Cobain, I mean, there's another good example of a young man that was murdered, and yet they put it out there that it was suicide, and nobody's changing it.
Right. No, because the police did a sloppy investigation in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want to admit it. They like the whole force would be screwed, basically. I mean, there's so many people that took their life because of it. And I even attempted myself. And that was the only real suicide attempt I actually did. And that was in 2017, after I spoke with Courtney Love's dad over the phone. And he told me himself that Kurt was absolutely murdered.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, it's like anybody can look at the scene and logically you're like, this is not a suicide. And yet they're just like, okay, the easy way is how are we going to do this, guys? Okay, suicide done. And you can't question them, right? It's like they're God. ka-ding, they put their stamp on it and you cannot question them. And it's like, yeah, we can.
Mhm. If there's God, though, they're only God of this crappy third dimension.
Right.
So they can
Yeah,
have
but they
crappy
they
shit.
think they own it.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I know. I hope planet Earth gets better. I hope humanity gets better. You know, I miss the times before all the cell phones and everything, and everyone having like checkmark profiles and being so special online. You know, the natural ways of humanity have kind of disappeared in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because when I was growing up, um, it used to be that the threat that they would tell everybody is that everybody's going to become one big commune, everybody's going to live together and everybody's, so that was the big scary thing, right? And
Hmm.
then slowly you start watching and it's just like, I don't know, because back then I'm like going, ooh, I don't know if that's really a good idea. And I don't want to live in a group of all these people, and all this crap. And then, you know, today I'm like, wait a minute, maybe that wasn't such a bad idea. Living off the earth.
Yeah, because now the government did it for us.
Hmm.
We have the 5G towers all around too. A major surveillance planet, and
Everything. We are watched 24/7 and people don't care. And that's the thing I don't understand. Um, I have been trying to tell people about that since before 2000. And people don't care. They're just like, whatever. I'm like, cover your cameras, people. You know, don't take your phone in the bathroom. I mean, I
right.
can't stop them from listening. Everything is recorded. There's a camera running 24/7. And so, but then what do people do? They start, oh no, I want a smart TV. I want a smart dishwasher. I want an Alexa. I want this and I want that. And I'm just like, you guys, you have zero privacy. Everything you're
I
doing
know.
is being recorded.
Yeah, oh yeah, and like it would be cool if you created that thing yourself and you knew what it was doing.
Yeah, but you try to tell them and they're just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Really? Really? Okay.
This is this is like our journal and everything, like from back in the day, just being read completely by anyone.
Yeah. And it's like you do, I mean, and even though they know that there are massive data collection warehouses out in the deserts, there's several of them in the United States,
Mhm.
and their only job is to collect data and store it from every single device. And I'm just like, guys,
Mhm.
come on, think about this.
Mhm.
No, they're just like la la la. They're in La La Land.
Yeah. So I miss the time. That's part of why I like Nirvana and Kurt Cobain so much is because it's like from the '90s when it was not like this.
Right.
And I wish that could have went further rather than how we are now.
Yep, I agree.
Mm. Is it all right if we cut it right here?
Sure, sure.
Okay. Mm.
Absolutely. It's okay. Yeah, we've been going for an hour already. So
Yeah.
it's a good long video. So just for the sake of the video, I just want to say thank you to Zach for being on and being open and talking about all these different things. And
Mhm.
maybe one day you can come back if it's a,
I will.
you're always welcome.
Yeah, I absolutely will. Thank you
Well,
for
good.
having me on here.
Okay, great. I'm gonna stop the recording. We're gonna end the recording right here. But hold on, I'll talk to you a little bit after.
Okay.